Hi, I'm Starborn. Remember, to be a star, you have to shine your own light, follow your own path, and not be afraid of the darkness, because that's when stars shine brightest. This is a show that is for everyone, because this Starborn show is called Waking Up to Reality. And everybody can do that right now. And in fact, I think we've got to wake up to reality, because we're about to have a solar eclipse in Aquarius next week, which rules the future. And so if we can wake up to reality, it means that we are able to truthfully face the fact that you can't live in the past. And that's true because the past is over. And so another reason why you could be really thinking a lot about that and waking up to the reality of who you are today and how you feel and what you want to do is because there are 4 planets that are beautifully trining each other in the water signs. And the water signs rule our feelings. And so the exalted Jupiter is in Cancer today, and it is beautifully trining 3 other planets in Pisces. It's trining Venus there, and Mercury, and Saturn in Pisces, which is now at the fateful 29th degree. In fact, it's so late in Pisces, it's at 29:44 minutes of Pisces. It's really on its way into Aries, but it's still there, and it's the planet of time, and it rules the past. And so this is a time when you could be realizing, according to what your true feelings are today, that you can't go back to the past, and that an old dream is gone now. It's an old dream that's gone because it belongs in the past. And you're someone that could be learning a lot from your past mistakes, and with the wisdom that you've gained from learning from your past mistakes, you can be ready to go into the future, which is great, because there are 3 powerful planets in the sign of the future, and they are the Sun today, and Mars and Pluto are also in Aquarius as well, and they're the rulers of a fixed financial sign, Scorpio. So one reason why you can't go back to the past, or an old dream can be gone now, it may have something to do with finances, but it also has a lot to do with the really real feelings that you have today about how you feel and who you are today and how you want to go into the future based on what you've learned from your past mistakes. And armed with the wisdom that you've gained from learning from your past mistakes, you can go forward now, because no one can live a lie. No one can play pretend. Kids do that, but we can't do that anymore. And so that simply means that you're going to have to face the truth and stop kidding yourself about something. We can't hang on to the past, even if they were very pleasant memories. We can remember those memories, but we can't live in the past. We have to live in the future. We have to live in tomorrow, because that's the direction we're all going in. So you can be waking up to reality right now, and that could be a reality of how you truly feel today, and who you are today, and who you want to be with, and what you want to do today, not yesterday. And so there are still some drawbacks or roadblocks that you may have to surmount. And that's because all 10 planets right now are squaring each other. And that can lead to challenges. And the first part of that is that there are 4 planets in the fixed signs. Remember, fixed signs don't budge. But there are 4 planets that are harshly squaring each other. And they are that Mars and Pluto, the rulers of Scorpio, which are in Aquarius, along with the Sun in Aquarius, and they are being squared by another malefic planet. Mars is one malefic planet, and Uranus in Taurus is the other. Those 2 malefic planets, Mars and Uranus, are known for speed. Uranus rules sudden surprising changes. It's in a fixed financial sign that rules your investments or high-priced property, and it rules volatility, freedom, rebellion, and certainly the kind of instability where you never know what's going to happen next. So these planets are all squaring each other, but they are also harming the other fixed financial signs because of their harsh aspects. So the 3 planets in Aquarius are opposing the sign of Leo. It doesn't have anything in it, but it rules leadership, gambling, children, love affairs, It rules the whole entertainment field and speculation of any kind and sports. And so the 3 planets in Aquarius, Mars, Pluto, and the Sun is Leo's ruler, are all opposing Leo. And they're squaring Scorpio. But also, that Uranus in Taurus, remember it's a malefic planet, it's direct, it's not retrograde or anything, it's been in Taurus for about 6.5 years. It is opposing Scorpio. And Scorpio's rulers, Mars and Pluto, are squaring it. And Scorpio is the other fixed financial sign ruling credit, debt, taxes, loans, insurance costs, inheritance, grants, or money coming in from any other source. And that can be threatened because the square from the planets in Aquarius and the opposition from Uranus and Taurus are pretty direct. That's why we have to wake up to reality right now. And that simply means that these planets in fixed signs, which include the 2 fixed financial signs, means that you're going to have to face some financial challenges right now. And you won't be able to get out of it. And those financial challenges could have anything to do with the things that both Taurus and Scorpio rule, and they are in relation to how you handle them in your future, because the planets in Aquarius are so strong right now. Then there are another 4 planets in the mutable signs, and they're all squaring each other. And that's because the wonderful Venus and Mercury in Pisces, along with that Saturn in Pisces, are all being squared today by the moon, which is in Sagittarius, another mutable sign. And so the moon is squaring Saturn. That isn't too good. That means that parents are not agreeing on matters concerning their children or their plans or the costs related to that. That's not going too well. And so with the moon squaring the 3 planets in Pisces, that is also affecting the other mutable signs. So the moon is in Sagittarius is actually opposing the sign of Gemini, which rules easy transitional change. And so, and it rules short trips. Well, Sagittarius rules long trips or foreign countries, and it rules the courts and higher education. So that moon is opposing Gemini, and then the 3 planets in Pisces are opposing Virgo. Virgo rules your health, and it doesn't just rule your physical health, it rules your mental health. And it also rules the whole healthcare field. And so these 3 planets in Pisces, Venus, Mercury, and Mercury is Virgo's own ruler, so that's not too good, and Saturn are all opposing the sign of Virgo, and the moon in Sagittarius is squaring it. So it simply means that there could be sudden changes in plans, or and that would be based on hidden information that comes out from behind the scenes. Pisces rules things behind the scenes. And so this could be hidden information that has been hidden for a while, but when it comes out, it could even affect some court matter. Because remember, Sagittarius rules the courts, and the moon is squaring the planets in Pisces right now. And so there could be sudden changes in plans based on hidden information that comes out. And we would have to adapt to that as well. And then there are 2 other planets in the cardinal signs, and they are squaring each other. And that's because that wonderful exalted Jupiter in Cancer, and it's the only exalted planet in the heavens. And Cancer rules endings because it rules the 4th house of home, last half of life, and endings. Jupiter there, exalted, means there can be some good endings right now, and there may have to be. Because remember, we have to wake up to reality. We can't live in the past or kid ourselves or live a lie. None of us can do that anymore. It's the future that we have to face because we've changed. And hopefully we've learned from our past mistakes. So that Jupiter in Cancer is being squared right now by Neptune in Aries, and Neptune is at 0 degrees of Aries. It's going to be there for about 12 to 14 years. And since Aries rules new beginnings, and Neptune rules kidding yourself about things, or, sort of wishing, but not really, it's not a planet that sort of gets down to things too fast. It means that there could be some false starts right now. Aries rules new starts. There could be false starts that are based a little bit more maybe on the way that you used to feel, or they could be based on the fact that you can kid yourself about the ability to keep doing your past mistakes. That's not true. It's really not true. And so we have to move forward right now. We can't go back to the past because time moves forward. It doesn't move backward. And so we all have to go forward and wake up to the reality of who we are today and what is most precious to us and how we want to move forward into the future. And you know, if you take the wisdom and the lessons you've learned from your past mistakes so that you're not making them anymore, you could probably end a few things that do not fit into the future of who you are today and what you want to do in the future. In other words, we've all changed. It's because we do get older and we do hopefully learn from our past mistakes, and because we've changed. It's the way we've changed and how we've changed that can take us into the future now. And that's why you have to wake up to reality, because reality is the future. It's not the past. And it's all right if you had good times in the past. You can remember them fondly. But is that who you really are today? Or have you changed? Or have you grown? Or do you have different goals? Or have you gotten a little bit older and you don't quite want to do the things you did that you used to do? Maybe you want to try something new. Well, that's why you have to wake up to reality. So I hope you all do that. Okay, what does this mean to all 12 of the sun signs? Aries. For you, you could be kidding yourself, Aries, because Neptune is in your sign. Saturn is about to come into it because it's at the very end of Pisces today. And so Saturn is a planet of obstacles and delay, and Neptune is a planet of sort of wishing on a star and of dreams and of kidding yourself. So you could be wanting to make a new beginning, and the moon in Sagittarius today is trining your sun, Aries. That's a good aspect. So you could be thinking a lot more of how you feel. The moon rules our feelings. And since Sagittarius rules the courts, but it also rules long-distance travel and people from foreign countries, and it rules higher education, this might be a time when you could be kidding yourself a little bit about a new start that you want to make. That's because Neptune's going to be in your sign for 12 to 14 years. You could be doing that for a long time, Aries, and that simply means you really need to check the facts. And no matter what you're planning for the future, are you really prepared for it? Because we all have to wake up to reality, Aries, and it can be that you may need to go back to school and take a few more classes to get better prepared for what you want to do in your future. Well, that's fine. And particularly if you've learned from some past mistakes, then you're a different person now. And you can go forward right now in a new way with new ideas. But you can't afford to kid yourself about anything. You will have to face reality, so good luck. Okay, what does it mean to a Taurus? Well, Taurus, this is a time, Taurus, when you probably are needing to face financial challenges. Yours is a fixed financial sign. And there are 4 planets in the fixed signs that are in harsh aspect to each other. And that is because Uranus in your sign, which is a malefic planet ruling sudden surprising change, rebellion, instability, volatility, it just, Uranus just erupts. It moves very quickly. And so it is squaring, Uranus in your sign is squaring the Sun today and and Mars, another malefic planet, and Pluto, all in Aquarius. Well, Uranus rules Aquarius, and for 6.5 years it's been squaring the sign it rules. That isn't too good. But also, it isn't too good for you because you have been subject to sudden surprising changes in the last 6.5 years. And I don't think that's over yet, Taurus, because Uranus is opposing Scorpio, which rules financing, so you could be facing financial problems or debt or extra taxes or higher costs in insurance or some sort of accounting errors. You could be facing that as well. And you could certainly be uncertain about what direction your future is going to take right now because the 3 planets are in Aquarius, and Aquarius rules the future. And so I think you are either short of money, or you could be in the position of something of yours. Maybe your investments are losing money. In other words, they're going down in value. If you had been depending on any income from your investments, as they go down in value, so would the income. And so that's why I think you're facing financial challenges right now, Taurus. And remember that we have to wake up to reality. We have to look at, Taurus is the most possessive sign in the zodiac. And the fixed signs are pretty possessive, but Taurus is the most possessive because what is theirs, or so they think. And so you could be looking around at your possessions or your investments right now, and if anything's going wrong with them, which I think there is, I think values are dropping right now, then you've got to make some decisions about what you're going to do in your future, Taurus. And that could be sort of cloudy right now. You may not be too certain of what you want to do or how much you can afford. So you could be sort of caught in limbo right now between the past and what you want to do in the future. And the point that we all have to realize right now as we wake up to reality is that we're not the same people that we used to be. We all grow and change. If nothing else, we all get older. And some of our goals we've achieved. Okay, so you don't want to go back to those, but you may have new goals. And the question is, what can you afford, Taurus? And also, how much work do you want to put into a new goal right now? Maybe you're nearing retirement. Maybe you don't feel like working that hard anymore. And then the question is, what are you going to live on for the rest of your life? So you really do have to pay much closer attention to your own finances, Taurus, not anybody else's. And as far as your future goes, I think I'd want to get the money in place before I tried something new. Isn't that the way you think too, Taurus? I'm not a Taurus, but a Taurus is sort of sure-footed. It's an earth sign. And so if you're pretty comfortable where you are, Taurus, my advice is to stay there, particularly if you can afford it on your current income. But as far as any future income goes, I would say that that's a little iffy. And I wouldn't place a gamble on anything right now, Taurus. You are not aspected to win a gamble, so don't do it. In fact, I think you're going to have to pull in your belt a little bit right now, either because you're losing money or else your future prospects are not as bright as you once thought they were. And so you can adjust to reality. That's the kind of reality we all have to wake up to, so good luck. Okay, what does it mean to a Gemini? Well, Gemini, there are some planets that are in harsh aspect to your sun sign, and then there's other planets that are in good aspects. So let's start with the good stuff first. The Mars and Pluto in Aquarius and the Sun in Aquarius are all trining your sun. They're the only planets in an air sign right now. There's nothing in your sign and there's nothing in Libra. And so these three planets are trining your sun, indicating that you can really have your mind on the future since they're in Aquarius, and Aquarius rules the future. Well, that's good, but you could also be a little bit worried about where the money is going to come from to pay for your future, Gemini. Or even if you have enough money to spend on something, you may not be too sure that it's going to cover all the costs of what you want to do. And so you too need to wake up to reality. Because as I said, there are some planets that are in harsh angle to your sun sign. And for one, the moon is in Sagittarius today, and it is opposing your sun sign. So matters that have to do with court issues, or people in foreign countries, or higher education, or long-distance travel can be pretty iffy right now. Or there can be a legal question that you're not really too sure. Even if you're not in charge of a legal question right now, if people are talking about changing the laws in some way, that could throw you off a little bit now too, Gemini, and you may not be too certain about how things are going to work out in the future. And so if I were you, Gemini, I would still keep planning on the future, because that's all we've all got. Waking up to reality means that you can't go back to the past, that our old dream is done, it's gone. And what we have to face is a new future, but realize that we have learned a lot from our past mistakes, and we're new too. And so, Gemini, maybe you're thinking about turning over a new leaf, or going in a direction that you always wanted to go in, but you're not too certain if you can yet. Maybe you need to consult with some people first about your future plans. There's nothing wrong, you know, two heads are better than one, Gemini, and your sign does rule two of everything because it rules the twins. So it might be better if you go and consult with some other people first before you make a final decision about something that you want to do in your future. And all of us, the only trine in the heavens is in the water signs. All of us have to realize that our feelings have changed, and that's because we've changed in different ways, and that we can't go back to the past. So no matter what you want to do, Gemini, you will have to adjust to your future dreams, or the way other people are changing in their future, or what their futures are. So you're going to have to be a little bit more adaptable, and luckily that is exactly what your sign rules. So if I were you, I wouldn't be too anxious to jump anywhere right now, but instead sort of feel the waters, test the waters wherever you want to go right now, Gemini. Just ask more questions and then quietly withdraw, and you can make up your own mind. It's just that you don't have to make up your mind right now. So it's better to get a little bit more information before you take a big step. Good luck. Okay, what does it mean to a Cancer? Well, Cancer, remember I said that it's wonderful. We can be much more in touch with our feelings right now and realize that we're sort of new people headed into the future, because Jupiter is exalted in your sign, Cancer. Lucky you, it's going to be that way till next summer. And your sign rules our feelings, because it's a water sign, but it rules the last half of life. And it rules our homes and our families, and it rules endings. And Cancers are very good, a little bit slow, but very good at making endings. And they do it very well. They can do an ending so that everybody feels that it's okay. And that takes talent. But Cancers are very perceptive about people's moods. Cancer rules moods, or the way people are thinking or how they're feeling. And so Cancer, Jupiter in your sign is trining Venus. That Jupiter-Venus trine is just about the best thing you could ever get. It's trining Venus in Pisces, along with Mercury there, and Saturn, the planet of time and obstructions and delays, which is at the 29th degree of fate in Pisces. And the 29th degree, any planet on that indicates something is on or over. So an old dream that you have is over, Cancer. And I think you could be happy about that, because somewhere, since it's an old dream, if you made any past mistakes with it, you can be pretty glad it's over now, because that allows you to apply the wisdom that you learned from your mistakes to go forward and do something that you'd rather be doing, or be with someone that you'd rather be with, or just somehow find a little bit more happiness than you have been feeling. And that is entirely possible with Jupiter trining Venus, and also with Saturn getting ready to leave. So you may have had to learn in the last few years while Saturn was in Pisces. It was trining your sun the whole time, but you may have had to look back at past mistakes that you made, and you may have been confronted with them as information came out from behind the scenes. And if it still is coming out from behind the scenes, and you're facing reality even more now, Cancer, you could be glad that the truth is out, because then that allows you to make a good ending. And it may be an ending to something in the past that you were kidding yourself about, or something that you had done in the past that you've learned from your past mistakes and you don't want to do that anymore. That's pretty important to learn too. So I'm not saying that it's going to be easy right now, Cancer, for you to do anything, but I would say you're going to be much closer to acting on your true feelings, on the way that you are today, not on the way you felt yesterday. Because nobody can live a lie. Nobody can go back to the past, because time moves forward, and you're going to move with it rather well, while Jupiter is exalted in your sign, Cancer. So I guess what I'm trying to say is make up your mind. You know, sit down and ask yourself who you'd rather be with and how you feel about things today. You know, cross off what you used to do. We all have the future, Cancer, And you really have got to wake up and face reality. If you've been living in a dream world, the old dreams are done. And if you want to make a new dream that suits you better now, the way you are today, then that's probably the right direction to go in. And so I think that as long as you're in touch with your true feelings and you're honest about how you feel about what you're doing or who you want to be with or how you want your future to turn out, if you're honest about that, Cancer, you got a good chance of succeeding. But you have to also be honest about your past mistakes and what you've learned from them and promise not to do those again. All right, what does it mean to a Leo? Well, Leo, this is a time, Leo, when you can be facing financial challenges. Very definitely, I guarantee it, Leo. And the reason is, I'm not saying you're broke or anything. I'm just saying you are going to be facing financial challenges. You couldn't get away from it, Leo. And you would also be facing challenges to your leadership, or it would be more accurate to say challenges to your past leadership roles. And so if you're living in the past, or you want to keep living a lie, or you want to just kid yourself about something, then I'm saying wake up to reality right now, Leo. It'll do you a lot of good, because there are some planets that are affecting your sun sign adversely, and they have to do with money and leadership and your future, Leo. And that is because the sun, your own ruler, and Mars and Pluto, the rulers of Scorpio, a fixed financial sign, they are all opposing your sun sign. That isn't good, because an opposition means that the planets are as far apart as they can be. They're 180 degrees apart. They're not connecting at all. And so these planets are opposing your sun sign, which rules gambling and children and love affairs and horse racing and the entertainment field and sports and leadership. And you may have had a real good time sort of being on a roll and enjoying all those things in your life, Leo. And I'm not saying that you can't do that in the future, but for right now, I think you have money problems since Mars and Pluto rule Scorpio, and they are the rulers of a fixed financial sign, and the kind of money problems you might have are dealing with the things that Scorpio rules: credit, debt, loans, taxes that can be coming up, insurance costs, inheritance, or grants, or money coming in from any other source. They could certainly be in short supply, or much shorter supply than you had been counting on, Leo, because these three planets are opposing your sun sign. And then another malefic planet, Uranus, a planet that acts very suddenly and in a volatile, unstable way, is in Taurus, which rules investments, and it's been squaring your sun, Leo, for the last 6.5 years. And so your money, maybe it went way up at times, but it could also have gone way down because Uranus is so unstable, and it is squaring your sun. It's also squaring all the planets in Aquarius, and Uranus rules Aquarius. That's not too good. Your ruler is opposing your sun sign, and the ruler of Aquarius, Uranus, is squaring the sign it rules. That is leading, for all of us, to sudden surprising changes and fluctuations in financial matters. And it could also relate to questions of leadership, either past leadership or some sort of leadership role that you're thinking about in the future. I think that's pretty distant from you right now, Leo. I wouldn't aim for that. I don't think you'll make it. Right now you're going to have to straighten out some financial matters. And it isn't just about finances. What we're all waking up to right now is reality, and the reality is what we've learned in our wisdom from our past mistakes, hoping that we don't make those again, but also who we are today and how we feel and what our goals are for the future and who we want to spend our future with. Do you see, Leo, you're caught between real tangible problems that could be related to your finances right now, and also very distant future plans that don't look like they're going to work out the way you thought they would. And so because you're faced with challenges, you'll have to give up something, Leo. And I hope it's some old dream that just isn't working, and it isn't going to work. But the reason why is because you could be a new person. you could be looking forward to new things. And whoever you are today, Leo, you don't fit in the old dream, and someone else doesn't either. So gee, let it go. And concentrate a lot more on your future. For right now, I'd concentrate on your finances, because the future always costs money, and your sign rules extravagant, and I wouldn't be extravagant right now, Leo, if I were you. I'd cut down on the budget and try to conserve your financial resources. I think you're going to need them in the future. And so be real careful if you can. Okay, what does it mean to a Virgo? Well, Virgo, there are 3 planets, Virgo, in Pisces, and they're all opposing your sun sign right now. Oh, and they're pretty good planets. Well, one of them's a malefic planet. But Venus is conjuncting Mercury, your own ruler, and it is opposing your sun, because those 2 planets are in Pisces. And then Saturn is in Pisces at the 29th degree of fate. It's at 2944 of Pisces today. It's really heading into Aries. But because it's still opposing your sun, it simply means, Virgo, that, oh, and the moon in Sagittarius is also, the planets in Pisces are opposing your sun sign, and the moon in Sagittarius is squaring your sun sign today. And so there could be sudden changes in your plans right now, Virgo, and it might be because your future plans are going to need to sort of adapt themselves to what your current budget is, or how many bills you have, or what your current attitude is about money. And a lot of our attitudes about money change as our careers change, or as our ages change. Okay, and the closer people get to retirement, they begin to think a little bit differently about, how can I afford one thing or another when I'm not working? Or if you're have had any kind of a career change, and you still have a future goal that you want to meet, you could be wondering how you're going to pay for it. And I would say that what you might want to do, Virgo, is sell something that isn't making as much money as you thought it would. Or if you are in any kind of a relationship that is sort of dragging you down, or holding you too much to your past, and not even allowing you to concentrate on your future, just your future, not anybody else's, you need to look at that again, Virgo. Is that healthy for you? I mean, if you're going to go into your future and you want to have it be a good future, maybe you should start with how much you've changed first. And when you realize how much you've changed in contrast to your past, then, and what your future goals are, then you could think of, am I with the right people? Do I have enough money to afford that? Are there ways that I want to change my lifestyle? Because it all begins with you, Virgo. If you are changing in some way, which we all do as we grow and as we get a little bit older, you have to admit the changes first, and you have to ask yourself how you really feel. We can't always be pushing ourselves forever. That's not good. That isn't even healthy. Because sooner or later we're going to burn out. And if you don't want to do that, Virgo, why don't you slow down and sort of take a sabbatical and ask yourself what you like about your life, and also what bothers you. And maybe you should just quietly make some plans to change what bothers you. Get rid of that first, and then hopefully you'll only have the things that you like left, and you can feel better, and then be more positive and go forward toward your future. It's just a thought, Virgo, but I wish you would consider it, because Saturn has been opposing your sun sign. It went into Aries for a little while, but then it came back. So a total of about 2.5 or 3 years it's been opposing your sun sign, and things have not been going your way, Virgo, in some pretty important aspects of your life in the last 2.5 to 3 years. And you could have even encountered an element of sadness in your life. And that's about to be over, Virgo. That's why I'm saying take a little time out right now. Ask yourself who you are today, and what you want to do, and how you feel today. And, if I were you, Virgo, I'd do a little house cleaning. either in your relationships or in your finances or where you live or how you spend in your time, what your daily habits are. Do a little house cleaning, and you might be a lot better off for it. And it wouldn't take anything but an honest admission that you have changed. It isn't just other people that have changed. We can't blame all our problems on everybody else. We changed too. And you know, it might be for the better. It might be that you could be coming out of some sort of, from under a dark cloud. And maybe you need to take some time to realize that as one door closes, which you probably need to do to your past, another one will open. So good luck. Okay, what does it mean to a Libra? Well, Libra, you've got 3 great planets trining your sun, and you've got a solar eclipse coming up that will trine your sun too. Oh, lucky you. And that is because the sun today is in Aquarius, so are Mars and Pluto in Aquarius. They're the rulers of Scorpio, which is a fixed financial sign, but they're squaring the sign they rule, which simply means, Libra, that since they are trining your sun sign, there could be some way for you to favorably work out some financial matter that could be on your mind right now. Or if you wanted to risk it and you're feeling that you're justified, you might want to go into the boss and ask him for a raise. You could possibly get it right now, Libra, based on perhaps your future ideas or your future plans. Maybe your boss would be very interested in hearing those right now. This is a time when there is more focus on the future than there is on the past. And it's going to stay that way. However, people have to afford their futures, and that is the problem that a lot of people are having right now. Can I afford what I wanted to do in the future? Well, if the answer is no at this time, or not yet, then what can you afford? You know, if you don't want the whole thing right now, Libra, maybe you could sort of partition your steps or your choices to your final goal and just take one step at a time right now. And if that's affordable, then, and it probably would be, you know, you don't have to do the whole thing. You could just do one thing at a time. And probably while you're doing that, you could be either saving the money or making more money to do the next step, and then just keep going. Because the solar eclipse next week is going to trine your sun. You really are going to start something new, Libra. But we all have to ask ourselves how we feel today. And Jupiter, the exalted Jupiter in Cancer, is squaring your sun. And Neptune in Aries is opposing your sun sign, meaning you could be kidding yourself about a new start. It could look a lot rosier than it actually turns out to be. So you need to sort of face reality right now. You really do need to wake up to reality, Libra. And the reason why is that your future is looking brighter than you think it is. But are you ready for it? That's what you have to ask yourself. That's what you have to prepare for. And that's what you need to do now. The reality is, how ready are you for a good future? And this is a great time to be asking yourself that question, Libra, because there's going to be a good future opportunity coming up for you under that solar eclipse in Aquarius. And are you concentrating on that? Are you thinking about that? Or are you stuck in the past? Because that's not where you should be, Libra. You should be thinking about your future and who you are today, not who you were yesterday. None of us can go back. So we don't have to worry about yesterday. We do have to learn from our past mistakes. But whoever we are today, that's who's going into the future. So look in the mirror, Libra. I think you're going to like what you see. Okay, what does it mean to a Scorpio? Well, Scorpio, for sure, since yours is a fixed sign, you are looking at financial challenges, Scorpio. And I know that you're looking at that because your rulers, Mars and Pluto, are in Aquarius, along with the Sun, all squaring your sun sign. And another malefic planet, Uranus, is in Taurus. It's been in Taurus for the last 6.5 years on the other fixed financial sign and opposing your sun sign. And so there could be a shortfall in your investments in one way or another, and that could have happened rather suddenly, or maybe it's still going to happen rather suddenly, because Uranus is a very unstable planet. And then because your own rulers are in Aquarius along with the Sun, It means that there is some sort of a question about your future, Scorpio, and whether you can afford it or not. Okay? And you could say to yourself, well, yeah, I have enough money to afford the life I'm living right now. Well, that's fine, but what about your future? Not your present, but can you afford your future? That could be a question that's up in the air right now, Scorpio. And the reason it's up in the air is because your rulers are squaring your sun. And so you can be involved in matters that have to do with the things that your sign rules: credit, debt, taxes, loans, insurance costs, inheritance, or grants, or money coming in from any other source. Now, there could be some sticky areas there, Scorpio, that you're going to have to look at. And as far as those matters go, I do not think that they are all favorably resolved. In other words, they're not all working out in your favor, Scorpio, not right now. And there could still be a lowering of the value of your investments, or they could be so unstable that you can't really count on them. So, Scorpio, what can you do? Well, Scorpio, everybody can go forward in their future, particularly if they've learned from their past mistakes, and they use the wisdom from what they've learned to go forward and have a better future. And you can really do that if you concentrate on it. And, get your mind off the money, Scorpio, and think of how you are, how you feel today. Realize you're a different person than you used to be. And that Jupiter, the exalted Jupiter in Cancer, is trining your sun. It's been doing that for the last 6 months, and it's going to continue to do that until this summer. And so it rules endings. And so there can be some good endings in your life, Scorpio. Scorpios are Taurus is the most possessive sign, but Scorpio is second most possessive sign. That's because they're both the fixed financial signs. That's what I think. And so you could be wanting to hold on to everything right now that's yours, Scorpio. But at the same time, Scorpio, aren't you just hanging on to the past too? And that's all? What can you do based on how you feel today? Not how you felt yesterday or the day before or years ago, but how you really feel today. That would be based on your age. That would be based on your experience. If you've been there and done it, why repeat yourself? If you're looking for something new or someone new, you could do that. As long as you get your mind off your financial worries. I do think you have financial worries right now, Scorpio. It doesn't mean that you're broke. What it means is that you're not certain how much something in the future is actually going to cost you. Okay, you don't know that because your rulers are in the sign of the future and they're squaring your sun. And the value of your investments can be dropping. That could happen to everybody right now because Uranus is so unstable and it's in a harsh aspect and it's in a financial sign. Okay, so the future is looking a little iffy, but Scorpio, your sign rules survival and it rules justice. And this is a very good time for you to sit down and just look at who you are today, not yesterday. Now, don't look back at your past, Scorpio. What good would that do? You're not there. Nobody can live in their past because time moves forward. And you've got to move with it in order to survive, Scorpio. Survival is the most important thing to a Scorpio. And they're pretty good. They know how to do it. And it rules war. It rules the military. It rules medicine. And it's a healing water sign. But it particularly rules surgery. And Scorpios generally can heal and recover and go on from any kind of painful experience by cutting it out. That's what the surgeon does. You go in for the cancer tumor, they cut it out. Well, that's what you've got to do in your life, Scorpio. You've got to cut out what's gone wrong. And it was in the past. If you're still living with that, you've got to cut that out and go on to something new. Or you'll never have a future. No one can live a lie, and no one can keep kidding themselves, and no one can go back. And so you don't need to, Scorpio. You have Jupiter trining your sun. You can make some good endings in your life that will free you to go forward and be who you are today. And so isn't that good? Because you have the rest of your life to live, Scorpio. Do you want to live it in the past? Or do you want to do something new? Or be with somebody new? Or go forward instead of always looking back? I would hope that that is what you'd want, Scorpio. Because Venus and Mercury and Saturn are in Pisces, and they are also trining your sun. Okay, you've got financial problems, probably some pretty big ones right now, Scorpio, or you're worried about how to pay for things in the future as well. But you also have 4 wonderful planets in the water signs all trining your sun. And that means that there can be some additional information coming out behind the scenes that more or less forces you to face what's really in your heart. Okay, not in your past, but in your heart. And that's because Venus is trining your sun, and so is Jupiter. Now that's where you have to look. You have to look at what kind of happiness you want in your future, Scorpio. I mean, money always goes up and down, okay? But the heart, that's different. If you are looking into your future and you're a new person and you want a new life and you want to be happy in it, you will have the opportunity for that. So either you got to quit concentrating on your past and let it go, or you'll never have the happiness that you yearn for. And if you're a new person, you deserve happiness. So I hope you go for it. Okay, what does it mean to a Sagittarian? Well, Sagittarius, the moon is in your sign today, Sagittarius. That's good. And it's actually being trined by one planet, and that is Neptune, which is in Aries. Now, Neptune makes you kid yourself, and Aries is a sign that rules new starts. So are you kidding yourself about a new start, Sagittarius? Or are you seeing that you're feeling, the moon rules our feelings, are you feeling like you want to make a new start? And you are not even concentrating on the nitty-gritty details of it, you just want to do it. Well, good for you, Sagittarius. Give that a try. You may want to give that a try just a little bit further on down the road, in a month or 2, something like that. And the reason why is that there are 3 planets in Pisces, and they're all squaring the moon in your sign today. So Venus and Mercury in Pisces are squaring your sun, but they're going to move on. And Saturn, which has been in Pisces squaring your sun for quite a while, and always putting roadblocks up to what you want to do, or limiting you in some way, Sagittarius, or holding you back, that Saturn, I guarantee you, is about to leave. And it isn't coming back into Pisces for 28 to 30 years. So it'll oppose and square your sign from other signs, but not from Pisces. So you may have had something that you've had to endure that has been worrisome for you for years now. The whole time that Saturn was in Pisces. Now Neptune was there too. So maybe you always chose to look the other way and not pay attention to it, no matter how much it bothered you. But if something is really bothering you, Sagittarius, it would end if you would end it. Okay, it's going to take you ending something that is bothering you. Now, you could talk about it, you could deal with it, or you could just simply go around it, avoid it. But I think you have to sort of sign off, Sagittarius, on a problem that you have had for a while that it's not of your making. Okay, you're not responsible for the problem, Sagittarius. It has been there. It has just been sort of, it won't leave. And you may have chosen to not look at it, or look away, or have an excuse for it, or not deal with it. But why don't you just deal with it, Sagittarius? And it may be that either the problem has to leave you, or you have to leave it. And I think that's what it's going to get down to. What do you want to do about it? Do you want to close the door on that problem and not let it open again? And that way you'll be rid of it? Or do you want it to just let it sink you? That doesn't sound too good. Because we all grow and change. And that means that you have a chance for a happier life. You certainly have a chance to do something that you could be dreaming about or have dreamed about for a long time. And even if there are, little pitfalls there that you haven't been considering, you could still make it. That Neptune is going to be trining your sun for years. But Saturn is about to go into Aries, and it too will trine your sun. Then it is going to do you some good. But all the while that it's been in Pisces, it hasn't done you any good, Sagittarius. There's been a nagging problem around, and maybe you've wanted to avoid it, but either you have to write it off and go beyond it, or keep enduring it. That doesn't sound like much fun. Or else you have to concentrate much more on something new that you want to do. Why shouldn't you? The show is called Waking Up to Reality. The reality is the only thing we've all got is a future. And I think that's pretty hopeful. And why don't you look at the cup as half full, Sagittarius, and look for ways that you can expand. And if you have a new idea for something, why don't you investigate it a little bit more? When Saturn moves in along with Neptune in Aries, and it'll trine your sun for years, that could help you. That could help you face reality, but it could also help you get over something that has been bothering you for quite a while and get beyond it. And that's what you need to do in order to face reality and realize that you too can go into your future. You don't need to be stuck with things that are dragging you down, because we all grow and change. You can sort of, if you concentrate a little bit more on the future, Sagittarius, you can move beyond what's bothering you and go in a new direction if you want to. And I'm wishing you the best of luck. Okay, what does it mean to a Capricorn? Well, Capricorn, this is a time, Capricorn, when you are facing some sort of challenges. And oddly enough, it could even be financial. And usually Capricorn is so careful with their money and so conservative, and they always like to get good value for anything. So they're not extravagant, they don't throw their money around, but they do like good value and they have good taste. And Capricorn, your sign rules old age, and it rules retirement, and it rules bureaucracy and administration. So a Capricorn could work at a career for 30 years and walk out with a great pension. That would be a dream come true for a Capricorn. But on the other hand, Capricorn, you have to face the fact that the world is changing, that there are different future opportunities out there. And even if you have achieved one goal in your life, that's not the end of your life, Capricorn. You're going to live such a long life. You've got to be thinking of the future. And so wherever you are, my question is, what's your next plan? What do you want to do this year? Where do you want to go? Are there travels that you want to take? Are there classes that you want to take? Do you want to go in a new career direction? You could do that, Capricorn. And yet, you have to ask yourself, well, how do I feel now? Everyone says there's a grand trine in the water signs that rule our feelings. The number one question we all have to ask ourselves is, how do we feel about something today? Not how we felt yesterday or 2 years ago or 10 years ago. How do we feel about something today? Because we have changed. We often think that it's the world that's always changing. Well, we're part of the world, so we change too. And so where are you today, Capricorn? This is a real good time for you to ask yourself that question. And then where do you want to go? And how much energy do you have? And are you comfortable where you are? You don't have to have goals set out all the time in your life. Maybe you've reached some goals and you're sort of comfortable since you've reached those goals. Well, you don't need to change anything, Capricorn, but you do have to think of how long you're going to live and what you need to live on. Now that's something that you're going to have to. Capricorn rules old age. You've really got to think of, well, where's the money coming for my old age? And that old age is in your future, Capricorn. So the next question is, what do I want to do with my future? And I think that sometimes when people have worked in a career and they've retired from it, they think their future is over. They don't think, okay, I've reached that milestone. Well, now I've got more to go. And you have a lot more to go, Capricorn. So what are your plans for the future? I wish you'd sit down and think about them, because a new start may not be as easy to make at the age you are now, but you could still do it. You could still do it. However, you may not feel like that. You may feel like you've earned where you are and that you'd like to just sit there and enjoy it. So as long as you're not living in the past, Capricorn, as long as you still have some future interests, even if you're only taking them just a little bit at a time, at least you're going forward. And you're going to live a long enough time where you've got to be healthy and happy as you move forward. And you've got years to go, Capricorn. So you got to have a little good talk with yourself and ask yourself the number one question: what's in my future? And I hope to come up with a good answer. Okay, what does it mean to an Aquarian? Well, Aquarius, you have the sun in your sign, and you have Mars and Pluto, the rulers of Scorpio, in your sign, and they are, and that's a fixed financial sign, and they're squaring the sign they rule. So you could have some financial problems too, Aquarius. And on top of that, your own ruler, Uranus, is in Taurus, and it too is squaring your sun and that Mars and Pluto. Uranus is one malefic planet that acts real suddenly, and Mars is another. Mars rules jealousy, aggression, war, and greed. Okay, and these two planets are having a real hard time. They're not getting along at all, and they are affecting all four fixed signs. Not just Taurus and Aquarius, your sign, but they're also affecting Scorpio and Leo, which rules leadership, and Scorpio rules financing. So Aquarius, you could have money on your mind right now, and you may not know where there's going to be enough money to come into you in order to afford the future that you are hoping to have. And I would say, don't try to get the answer right now. I don't think you will get the answer right now to where all the money is, Aquarius, but you are going to have a solar eclipse in your sign next week. And it's going to be powerful. And, Mars and Pluto are still going to be in your sign, but the moon will be too, and so will the sun. And they'll be at the 29th degree of fate. So you are a lot closer, Aquarius, to some important change in your life. And, either one phase of the way you've been living your life is just about over, since the sun and the new moon under the eclipse next week will be at the 29th degree of fate, meaning that something is on or over. Or you are ready to sort of turn a corner and leave the past behind and head into the future in a new way. Solar eclipses always denote new beginnings. And if you're wondering where the money's going to come for some new beginning, I think you're going to have to work a little harder. And the easiest thing to do, Aquarius, is if you own something valuable, sell it. That's the easiest way to raise money. Sell something. And, all the fixed signs, they don't budge. They want to hold on to everything that's theirs. Particularly Scorpio and Taurus, which are Taurus is the most possessive sign. And so, Aquarius, what's more important? What you have accrued in the past that is paid for and it's sort of locked down and it's really yours, or what you want to do in the future? And your sign rules the future. So the answer is, do you have enough money to pay for the future? You may have enough assets, you may have enough things that are worth money, but you might need to sell some of them in order to have the money to go in a new direction in your future. And you may be sort of having to face the cold hard truth about that right now, Aquarius. And if I were you, I would face that. We can't hold on to the past, Aquarius, no matter what, because the past isn't holding on to us. Time doesn't hold on to us. If it was, we would always be the same age forever, and we aren't. We advance in our age, so does all of civilization. The future is what everybody has, and you do too. But you can't hang on to everything in the past and still be able to afford what you want to do in the future. So are you going to give up your future dreams, or are you going to let go of something from the past? You got a choice here, Aquarius. And if I were you, I'd sell a few things in order to afford your future. Because that is what your sign rules. And you belong in the future. And Aquarians have great ideas. And when Gemini on April 26th, when Uranus, your ruler, on April 26th comes into Gemini and begins to trine your sun for 7 years, the sky is the limit for you, Aquarius. It's just the question right now is, how are you going to afford it? And I think you're going to have to sell something to do that, and it's going to be worth it. So stop living in the past, Aquarius. You've got a great future ahead of you, better than you know. And if you want to afford it, then you'll have to sell something in order to have the money to do that. But don't you believe in yourself, Aquarius? It all comes down to whether you believe in yourself. And my guess is that you do. So you keep going. Good luck. Okay, what does it mean to a Pisces? Well, Pisces, this is a time, Pisces, when there is just about to be some change in your life, and it could be a lessening, a lifting of a burden or a worry or some sort of something that's been holding you back for a while. Even doubts. It could certainly be related to your past, Pisces. And that could have been holding you back because a lot of people think that they are a product of their past. And so they bring the past with them. And they sort of react to future things based on what they did in the past. And what I'm telling you is that we all got to wake up to reality. Your sign rules dreams. You really have to do that, Pisces. Because reality is who we are today. Not how we were raised, not who we were yesterday. How do we feel today? Well, you could be very much in touch with your feelings right now, Pisces. You could be pretty honest about that right now. In fact, I would say really honest about your feelings, because Jupiter, the exalted Jupiter in Cancer, is trining Venus in your own sign, along with Mercury, the planet of the mind. So your thoughts could be sort of like clearing up right now. You could be more sure of who you love or who you want to spend time with right now, because Venus is conjuncting Mercury. And then Saturn is in your sign, but it is at 29 degrees, 44 minutes. It is finally leaving your sign for as long as 28 to 30 years. It won't be back. And so you really have got to think of how you feel and what you want to end. Cancer rules endings. And you may want to end some ways that you did things in the past. And why is that? Because if you're waking up to reality, the first thing you have to wake up to, Pisces, and your sign does rule dreams, is that you don't live in the past. Nobody lives in the past. You could try in your mind to think of past things all the time. But, you know, if you really love an experience that you had in the past, or a person in the past that maybe they themselves have moved on in one way or another, you can carry the love with you forward and open your heart to even more love if you want to. The love planet Venus is in your sign. And so, you know, we all have happy memories from our past. They can comfort us. But they're not a part of our future. And everyone has got to wake up to the reality that we all have a future. I guarantee you that, because the next solar eclipse in 1 week is going to be in Aquarius, the sign of the future, which is the sign right behind yours. You're going to have a solar eclipse in the background of your life, which means a new beginning, Pisces. It doesn't happen necessarily on the day of the eclipse. The effect of an eclipse lasts for 6 months. But it's going to be there. And so you're going to be able, Pisces, to think of what you'd love to be doing at this time in your life. And so you have to face up to the fact that you're not who you used to be. And maybe you've made some mistakes in the past, but if in your wisdom you have learned from your past mistakes, and you're not going to do that anymore, because they are a part of your past, and nobody can go back to the past, Pisces. You don't have to worry about that too much. What you have to worry about is, what are you going to do in your future? Because it's on your doorstep, Pisces. It might be like right behind you, but it's coming up when that solar eclipse hits next week. And so you've got to ask, you know, what would make you happy today? Venus is in your sign. Jupiter is trining it. That's one of the best aspects in the whole world. And so if there's somebody that you want to be with that you really love, you know, make contact, Pisces. It's worth it. And you would be surprised at the very nice reaction to that. It would be a harmonious reaction with that trine. Do it now while Venus is in your sign. You have nothing to lose. You would be seen at your best, and they would appreciate you contacting them. They would. Maybe they've been thinking about you too, Pisces. And you know, somebody's got to make the first step. And Mercury is the planet of the mind and of communication, and it's conjuncting Venus. So if there's somebody that you want to reach, or somebody that you really like to be with, communicate with them. And don't stop until you do communicate with them. This is the right time to do it. Do it while these planets are in your sign and being tried by Jupiter. And it's an exalted Jupiter, meaning that an ending, maybe even two of them, since yours is a double-bodied sign, even two endings could free you up to have a new start that would make you much happier at this time in your life. Because you've changed just like we all have. And you know, happiness is a word that we can define in different ways at different times in our lives. And if you're at a different time in your life right now, as we all are, then happiness would mean something different to you than it did in the past. And since you can't go back to the past anyway, what does happiness mean for you today, Pisces? What would make you happy today? Well, why aren't you going for it? You should. Make that extra effort. Contact whoever you're thinking of. And if it is a goal of yours or a dream of yours that you've had for a long time and there have been innumerable obstacles to it, those are going. Your own ruler's not coming back in your sign. That's when you could have made a dream come true. But if you haven't done it already, give it a go, Pisces. Because you've changed. And so is the rest of the world. And you can't live a lie. You can't go back. You can take happy memories with you. But even those will have a sort of a different aspect to them as you move forward into a new life and find more happiness. And you could do that right now. So give it a go, Pisces. It's your turn. All you have to do is step up to the plate. You could hit a home run. So give it a go. All right. Thanks so much for tuning in. I'm sorry this was a little bit long. We do have a new eclipse coming up next week, so I hope you tune in next week. And I want to thank you for the new subscribers, and I hope you tell your friends about STARBORN. So I'll see you next week. Thanks a lot. Bye.